Hello, my name is Jimmy Artrip. This is
Brandy, Hackney.
And we're going to be talking about a little bit about 3D printing. The title of our project is 3D Printing the World. I'm trying to get some room here so you can see this. So, the purpose of our project is to show you how 3D printing not only helps us today, but how it's going to be a big influence on everything we do in the future. Okay? So hopefully, we'll start with a little bit of an explanation on how 3D technology is used and how it's not only going to benefit my classes, but every other class throughout the school. So, 3D technology. Basic form is just basically printing in 3D, printing on a three-dimensional plane. As opposed to our normal printers, we print on a 2D plane, right? Paper, ink, prints flat. 3D printing technology, it uses melted plastic, metal, prints out different layers, usually hundreds, thousands of different layers, to make a three-dimensional form, okay? So why is that important? Why would you want a 3D form? Hopefully I can show you by some of our classes. So, for example, let's start with Mrs. King's class. She's sitting back here. I have to put her on the spot. So earlier today she talked about her school is, her class is doing a store, okay? So the way we're doing with her class, my students are collaborating with hers. Her kids will take orders. They'll give them to my students. My students use a computer-aided drafted program. They'll go in, design the products, they'll print them out, give them to her. Her class can customize those products, they can sell them, okay? So there's two of our classes working together. A few samples of some things we're going to be doing. This top one here, it's a little small. It's a 3D printed phone case, custom made coffee mugs, some 3D printed planter boxes, do anything we want. So moving on to our carpentry class. Our carpentry class does a thing called a tiny home, where they build a tiny house, get the students involved in that. So we're working with them. We're going to be able to do things like our drawer pull, custom-made drawer pulls, door knockers, home interior designs. One of the best things that I like about it is, I don't know if you can see it here, but this thing here, what they've done, they've printed a 3D dimension deer's head. They've actually took it, mounted it to some wood, and put a light inside of it, so it makes some mood lighting. Anything you want to do, it's all done with 3D. The biggest thing that I like about the 3D technology, though, is how we're working with our health departments, our health classes, and that's her. So with those, we're not only working with the class, we're going to be working with a lot of special needs kids and people through the community as well. So some samples that we've came up with, if you can see here, this is a hook that attaches to a wheelchair. So people in wheelchairs be able to go to the grocery store or whatever, attach these hooks to the wheelchair, they got a way to carry their bags. Don't have to do anything like that. Something as simple to me and you, like holding a spoon. A lot of people with disabilities may not have a good grip, they can't hold them. So here, we've actually printed handles big enough for a grip. Makes it easy to hold. Okay? The thing that really excites me more than anything, though, with 3D technology is the ability to print limbs, prosthetics. Okay? According to the American Medical Association, a normal prosthetic, just to have one that's cosmetic, okay, just to look like it, is about $7,000. If you get one that actually works with a grip, you're looking at $20,000. To get one that works by muscle movement, $100,000 or more. That's not a one-time cost either. You usually have to replace them every 3 to 5 years. What if you have a kid, as they grow, has to have a replacement? All right? So what if I told you, using a 3D printer, my class can print one for under $50 that works? Yeah. So the way they work, here's a picture. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but we print all the parts, joints and everything. We use fishing lines as the ligaments, and we use the dental bands that go in your teeth as tendons. It's got a grip on the back, put screws in it. You can tighten the strings up as much as you want or as loose as you want to make the grip. It works by flexing your arm. So for under $50, we can make those. If you have a kid that's really into superheroes, we can print them like the superhero arms to keep them from being self-conscious. A lot of things we can do. Another thing that we're doing is in the construction sector. Here, we actually have a very large 3D printer that printed somebody's house. Instead of printing with ink or plastic, it prints with concrete. Okay? The engineer puts the design into the printer. It prints in layers and layers. Then the carpenter goes in and finishes the rest of it. So it's like a quarter of the cost of a typical house. So helps out here. In here, it's really small, but you can go up later and look. It's the interior of one that's been printed. If you want to go smaller with 3D printing, something else that really amazed me, we're actually printing human skin. The way that works, we can take a patient's cells, we can clone those cells, reproduce them, print them out using a 3D printer, print them in layers, any shape and form we want. Best part about it, since we're using the patient's own cells, there's hardly any chance for rejection. Okay? So that's a good thing. Here, the bottom picture fascinated me. I wanted to show it to you. That's a child that had his ear ripped off by a dog. They used a 3D scanner, scanned with a good ear, printed an exact copy, and placed it on the side of his head. So, looks just like it never happened. So how about something that's like space flight? This is, yeah. Oh, okay. 2 minutes, they're rushing me. Something I was going to talk about too, space flight. Imagine you're out in space, 5,000 miles away from your nearest parts store, just went through an asteroid belt, see a bunch of lights flashing, hear a bunch of beeps going off. You got two choices. You're going to die or you're going to fix it, right? Would it be possible for me to carry all the parts I need on the spaceship? No. Why don't I make a phone call to NASA, tell them what part I need, they send me a file just like you'd send your email, it goes to my printer, I print the part right there, I fix it. I'm good to go. I'm on a 5-year mission through space. I've got a big crew with me. Would I be able to take the crew and take all the food, all the supplies, all the parts I need in a ship? Couldn't. How much easier would it be to take a thumb drive, load the entire catalog I need, and print it when I needed it? Okay? So it's for these reasons plus hundreds more that I probably not even think of, and we're going to see in the future, that I think it's a good idea for my kids not only to learn this stuff, but to be able to be the future leaders in this new emerging technology. Okay? Now I'm going to hand over to her. Sorry I took all your time.
We have about a minute left, so I just want to throw this out here before questions. I work with a special needs population, so a lot of our kids in the resource room have fine and gross motor skills, so a lot of these assistive technologies that can be used for the 3D printer can be incorporated into those classes. So they'll be able to feed themselves, they'll be able to get from point A to point B a lot safer and faster. Also, some of my kids in your classes, this is a great career path. So if you want to go into 3D printing, that's great, because to me, this is only going to take off from here. So medical, construction, anything has a job with 3D printing. So it's a great field to go into. And if you are familiar with it, then you will have the experience to use it, and that looks good on the job application.
Anybody have any
questions?